Hello, my fellow Americans. This is Bill Lipinski. Uh, this program is Two Guys on Politics. And the first guy on politics, as always, is Raymond Hanania, ace commentator, ace reporter, my
You
man in Chicago.
you can call me Ray. You can call me. So, yep, this is Ray Hanania, the co-host with Bill Lipinski, the former congressman. It is February 26, 2025, season 4, episode 7 of Two Guys on Politics. And we're going to talk about two issues. The threat and firing up to 2 million federal workers who, if they don't meet Elon Musk's demand for a summary of what they've achieved last week, 5 bullet points he asked for, they're going to get fired. They're going to lose their jobs. I can only imagine what that's going to do to the country. And the other issue is the Chicago City Council passed a $830 million infrastructure bond issue that wouldn't have to be repaid back until 30 years from now, 2055, at a cost of $2 billion in interest. Wow. And they said that, we're not mortgaging the future or burdening our next generation. Yeah, because it'll be two generations. They're going to be 30 with their own kids. Their kids will be 30 or 40 with their own kids by the time that happens. So, what do you make of Elon Musk? Is that a smart thing to do, having somebody tell all these federal workers, tell me what you did last week, 5 bullet points, and if we
Well,
don't like
apparently
it, we're
not,
going to fire you?
because over half of the agencies that he sent that to uh, told their employees not to participate in that whatsoever, that Musk did not have the power to ask that from them. So it doesn't look to me like it was a very good move. It's once again a very highly controversial move, not quite as bad as Trump supporting Putin nowadays, but it's up there. I really don't know how we go on with Trump's many positions that not only differ with the American public's position, but also differ with the most Republicans, I think, in the House and in the Senate. There has to be something that comes up very soon where a lot of Republicans break from him. Now, after a marathon session yesterday, they did manage to pass a budget. Of course, it still has to go to the Senate, so it has quite an uphill fight. But they lost every Democrat, and they did lose one Republican because it passed by two. So we have the tell us what you did last week, 5 bullet points, and then their secretaries or leaders of their department said, no, you don't have to do that. Don't follow that. Then we have this situation with the budget that you talked about that passed by, 2 votes. And then the previous thing that I talked about. I mean, to me, it's nothing but chaos, confusion,
Yes.
and a loss of confidence by the American people. And what is going on with this Ukraine situation? It's really hard to figure out. It
Right.
really is.
It's Ukraine is disturbing to me. It's very what we're doing there, coddling up to a war criminal, who has an international criminal court arrest warrant, and worse, he's a communist. He's a communist. He doesn't like democracy. He destroyed democracy in Russia. Remember, they brought democracy to Russia. He destroyed it,
Oh, absolutely.
and then he murdered his opponents with radiation poisoning. He'd have women go up to a man just on the street and wipe their hand across his face, and they'd have the poison radiation on the hand, and the guy would die. Within maybe 4 or 5 days, he'd be dead. So that disturbs me. But the thing about Trump bothers me. Everything that's happened in the past, what is it now? What is it, over 30 days? Just a little
Yeah,
over 30 days?
it's about 4 weeks, I guess.
Yeah, a little over 4 weeks. Everything has been by executive order, almost. Everything has been by dictate. I don't see Congress playing a major role
They're not.
in any of these things. I wonder, are they like in shock and awe? How did we put this guy in office? He brings in, I'm not against Robert F. Kennedy, and some of his views. I may not agree with everything, but I'm glad he's there. But Elon Musk, I always liked him. I read his bio. I thought, okay, this guy's a smart guy. But the more I see of him, the more I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this guy is a crazy person in disguise. These ideas. Now, just to give him the benefit of the doubt, Trump the benefit of the doubt on this, there's got to be a lot of wasteful spending. How do you identify wasteful spending except to stop everything and make everybody come back to you for the money? So if that's his strategy, which he's never said, that may be the only way to identify wasteful spending, but it's very
Well,
traumatic.
what you just said there is a reasonable, rational approach to something that all Americans would like to see thoroughly investigated.
Right,
Are these people being productive? Are they not being productive? If they're not being productive, let's get rid of them.
right,
But you don't go about it, as I've said before, with a sledgehammer. You go about it with a scalpel. I'm
right.
sure there are many, many good federal employees. And just, the situation where Trump tells everybody, I want 5 bullet points on what you did last week. And then their ultimate superior in their secretary or the head of the department, oh no, you don't have to bother doing it.
Well,
And Trump, it was brought up at a meeting, and Trump never really said anything one way or another.
I
So
listen, I think he's disruptive. Is that good? It's either
I
going to
don't
be
think
good
so.
or bad, but financially, the country is having a problem. The stock market is seeing its worst drops in 4 to 5 years. What happened to his promise day one that I'm going to eliminate all those increases that you're paying for eggs and groceries? We'll stop that on day one. If I had been president, we never would have had this. He keeps saying that if I had been in charge, this never would have happened. And I'm thinking, okay, make it happen. Make the money come back to us. But he hasn't done that so far. The situation seems worse. And then he compounds it with these tariffs on these foreign countries, which in principle is a good idea. But
Yes,
is he doing it the right way? And we're going to suffer tremendously by the time he gets to that point where we save money. The balance, in other words, the money that we have to spend, and then when we finally get to the savings, it'll just balance itself out. It'll be like nothing happened. So it just, except that we're going to go through trauma, and that's not good.
well, I loved when the press conference between the president of France and Trump was being held. And Trump said, the Europeans, uh, they have guarantees that they're going to get back all of their money that they loaned to
Ukraine.
the, yeah. And the French president put his hand on Trump's arm and says, well, Mr. President, that's not really accurate. That's not
Right.
really true. We will get back probably 60% if all goes well.
Right.
But he says, who knows if all is going to go well? And Trump says, and this is his friend. He likes this guy from France.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's what you say. And if you want to believe that, I'll sell
Yeah,
you the
it's like
Brooklyn Bridge.
he just goes on and on. So far, I have to say, nothing that he's done has been beneficial to me as a taxpayer. I'm
I,
sitting here going, the economy is bad. The food prices are up. I'm spending more money. There's more uncertainty. The international world is is in complete disarray. I don't see like a plan. There's no, like, sometimes you can say, okay, I'm willing to do this because there's a roadmap we can follow and you build it and little by little, you get there. I don't see that erector set being built.
well,
It's just like he's shooting from his hip and whenever his whim.
I say Trump means chaos and confusion. That's what he means.
Yeah, it's very
And that's
disturbing.
not good for running the most powerful country in the world economically and militarily.
And then, of course, he is getting in really brutal fights with the news media. He banned some agencies from some of his press conferences, I heard. And I don't know, that's not constitutional. You know, I was always against Biden and Democrats who would push out these right-wing bloggers. But now we've shifted to the opposite side. There's a middle ground where you respect everybody, whether you agree with them or not. Let them ask the question. Whenever, because I do some media consulting. Whenever I have a client, I always tell them, take the question from your worst critic. Because if you're confident about what you're doing, you could answer it and you look good. But shut them down, it looks like you're hiding something. So you're always better off to take the question from the critic and answer it as best you can. And if you
Well, that's
answer
why
it
you're a
good,
successful media man.
well, that's why a lot of people don't like me too. So, so at this point, 5 weeks in, 4 to 5 weeks in, are you concerned or apprehensive or just still waiting to see how things are going to turn
No,
out?
I am concerned.
Yeah, I am too.
There's just been too many things that have been said that to me are not realistic at all. And if there was ever a time to be realistic, it's now.
It,
We've got too many strange actors out there. China, Russia, uh, some other places. No, we've got to have one consistent philosophy about everything, and we've got to have the Europeans on board. It's absolutely necessary. While I'm thinking about it, too, I would like to congratulate you and the mayor of Cicero
Thank
on
you.
another stunning victory yesterday. Uh, I was very much impressed by it. It seems to me that that must be a very effective government in Cicero because the mayor wins continually. And I want everybody to know that I think he's doing a very good job and you're assisting him in a very special way.
Yeah, Larry Dominic, he's been president since 2005. He called me in 2009. I had written a column saying that I had met him 10, 15 years before, and he was a really nice guy. He was a cop. I talked to him. He seemed really smart, just a decent guy. And after he got elected, after fighting the uh, powers that be here, he beat them by 150 votes only, took over the government in 2005. And then as a former deputy police superintendent and he was a police officer for 20 years, in addition to working his way up from waste hauling through public works all the way to different departments. He's been in a lot of departments. So when I met him, he explained what he was trying to do. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. We don't hear about any of that. All we hear about are these controversies and politics. So I spent the first 5 years getting him away from all those politics. And he has the best senior citizen program for seniors, the best senior services program. They shovel your snow. They mow your lawn, the town. If you're a senior, 62 years and older, you get $500 worth of work. If your house needs some repair, we do it for you. We have buses that pick you up and take you wherever you need to go. Your doctor, grocery shopping, the amount of things we clean your carpet once a year in your home. We have programs every day, so you're never sitting around doing nothing. He has a big base of support among senior citizens and a health clinic that provides basic health that you don't have to pay for. Much like what was his name in Stickney Township, the Lou Viverito.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Lou was a great guy, and I think the big thing, my mother loved that guy because he had a health center that provided health services to the citizens. That's all it took. So obviously, Larry won last night on Tuesday, the 25th, with 57% of the vote. And
Which is an absolute landslide in
it's
any
huge.
election.
It's absolutely huge, despite all the attacks, from the media and from his opponent, nobody. So he is a good guy. And, I'm really proud to work with him. I wouldn't work with somebody if they were terrible. Once I find
No, I'm
out
sure
somebody's
you wouldn't.
terrible, I walk away from them, believe me. So, but yeah, he did really well, and Cicero is in great shape, thanks to the voters believing that, he's going to continue doing a good job. And then that's different from another city right next door. You know, Cicero, the crime rate,
Berwyn?
yeah, no, it's
Oh,
Chicago.
oh, oh,
The
okay.
crime rate in Chicago and Cicero is very low because he's a cop. He believes in fighting crime. He puts all his money into um, a gang crimes unit to get rid of the street gangs. So when you go to the border of Cicero, on our side of the border, the crime rate is maybe 2 gang killings a year. When you cross that invisible dividing line into Chicago, the gang crime murders jump to like 20 to 30 in that region. So they're afraid of Cicero and they won't come here, and I think that's a good thing. But speaking about Chicago, Bill, what do you think of now you were in the city council. Would you have, if the mayor had come to you, and of course they'd never ask you back then, they'd tell you what you have to do back in the old days. But if they said, hey, we need $830 million a bond issue for infrastructure improvements, but we're not going to make any payments on it for 30 years and it won't be paid off until 2055, what would be you think you could support something like that?
If it was today, absolutely not. And when I was in the city council, yes, it was a strong mayor, no question about it. But a strong mayor would never ask to do something like this mayor has asked the city council to do. This is ridiculous. You don't pay anything on the principal for 30 years.
Well, do you blame the mayor or the alderman that he tried to raise taxes and they blocked him? It was almost like 49, to nothing to vote against his tax. They gave him no option. He's not a very strong mayor. The polling shows that he's not very popular either, but you know how polling and politics are. They go up and down.
Yes, that's very, very true. Well, I think that he is a very poor mayor. Uh, he is a progressive. He's really had very, very little political experience. And I thought he could do better because I really think he was sincere when he got in there.
Yeah.
But I think he is much more favoring the choices, the decisions made by the Chicago Board of Education unions.
Right.
I'm beginning to believe more and more, as many people do, believe that he's a pawn of the unions, and that's a very bad situation. This situation with all the money that's being put off for 30 years, will he will he still be the mayor 30 years from now?
No, no. So from his standpoint, it doesn't hurt his voters. They're not going
Right.
to say you're raising our taxes, but it's the aldermen that he couldn't get anything passed without their support. 26 of them supported him, and they're pushing this down the road for 30 years. They're mortgaging their kids, and 30 years from now, you're not just talking about your kids' life being mortgaged, you're talking about your grandkids' lives being
Absolutely.
mortgaged. It's I don't know, it's just unprecedented, and it's a terrible way. It does reflect our terrible economy, though, and I guess it kind of reflects on President Trump, and all his promises that he was going to change things, and he hasn't done that. Things are not getting better. They seem like
No,
they're
they are
getting
not.
worse. So, all right, Bill. I think we
Very
kind
good,
of
Raymond.
touched on all those. I enjoy seeing you. I know that you don't have your background up because you're traveling, and you need to fix your computer. We got to get you a new computer, a new laptop. That's another scam. It's like the automobile industry. They last like a few years, and then you're forced to go out and buy a new car every
Right.
4 or 5 years. Otherwise, they just don't last. It used to be different. When my dad bought a car, he loved that car. He kept it for 12 years and it always did what he needed it to be done. Now, if you get a car that lasts more than 6 years, you're lucky. Unless you don't drive, if you're a senior like you and me, and we don't drive that much.
No, I drive.
All right, Bill. I'm
All
Ray.
right.
I'm Ray
This has been
Hanania.
two guys on politics. We hope that we gave you some interesting information. We hope that we kept you entertained. And I know the following man has done an excellent job anytime he's on the air. My friend Ray Hanania.
And we thank everybody. And you could find our link to this podcast, as you know, on YouTube at twoguysonpolitics.com. We'll talk to you later. Bill, you have a great week. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.